Yeah, that was a little strange.
Right? Like, we're not talking about using criminals. We're not talking about using willing patients that sign up for something like this. We're talking about people that had no idea that this was going on, and they were drugged, they were doped, they were duped, and they were researched.
Well, allegedly, this program ended around the time that I was born. However, the echoes of it have filled the hallways of our minds ever since. MKUltra. Who started it? Why did they start it? And allegedly, it's done, but is that really the truth? To talk to me more about this today, our very own resident tin hat wearing Bradie Whetham. Thanks, buddy.
I'm the resident crackpot of TPL Media, apparently.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't realize they updated your bio. Okay,
Yeah.
Next time, I promise.
So MKUltra was a real thing, Mike.
Yeah. So when did this start?
The 60s. Yeah. Do you want to run down, just in case anybody watching has never heard of MKUltra?
Yeah.
Because surprisingly, I thought everybody knew about this until we took it into the newsroom. And we kind of threw it around the room, and a few people didn't really know what MKUltra was or is.
Well, in prep for the show, because sometimes you'll get me into these shows, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's a planet named Zoltron, and I do my homework and find, yeah, there is one. So in doing my homework, here's what I found out. I didn't want you to take me by surprise. Yeah, it did operate through the 60s. It started in 1953, and it ended in the early 70s. And the reason for that is because it became part of an investigation into intelligence abuses. When Watergate came online,
Yep.
all of the files apparently from MKUltra were destroyed, save for about 20,000 that were in the accounting department. But it gave us sort of a glimpse at that time into what they were doing. And of course, well, you know, what were they doing?
Wow, they were doing a lot, Mike.
Yeah, check this out. Here's just a list of really.
And this is what we know from the files that we found. We
Yeah.
do not know what they were doing that never was declassified or destroyed.
Yeah, because the accountants don't get all the information, do they? They just get the expenses for the mixture for LSD. Okay, so here's what they did. They around the time that they started this, there was thought that Russians and adversary countries, North Korea, they had the ability to mind control people, to hypnotize them, to get information out of them, to extract details about
Believe it or not,
very sensitive info.
if you look at some of the files that were found from the closing of the Nazi Party, right, and the Reich, they were doing a bit of this research themselves. They were doing a lot of crazy research. We've talked about that before. Everything from the Nazi bell to experimenting on human beings and people who had passed away in bodies and things like that. But they did have a big portion of their research that was in this same category.
Okay, so here's what they did, and we'll get into who started it and why they created it. I'll let you take that over.
Yep.
But essentially, the CIA was the basis for this operation.
As far as we know,
The Soviet Union, China, and North Korea had discovered techniques for brainwashing, they thought.
Yep.
Now, they started their own program with hypnosis, sensory deprivation, sleep deprivation, electroshock, drug cocktails, and psychological conditioning. And, to various degrees of results, I would assume.
Yep.
Perhaps the strangest, I think, one that came out, documented, the CIA rented apartments in San Francisco and New York. Sex workers were paid to lure men back. The men were secretly given LSD, and CIA officers watched through one-way mirrors.
Yep.
And the goal was to observe how unsuspecting people reacted to acid, to LSD.
And that's,
And by the way, this is legit. That actually is on record.
this is documented.
Yeah.
This is on record. This was something that they know. They've not only spoken to some of the former gals that were involved,
Yeah.
but there's been reports of some of these Johns going even up to the building and jumping off afterwards, right? So there's been many a report. This is well documented. That's something that we all know is true, and they were involved with it. So if you know anything about MKUltra, this isn't new news to you.
No, I mean, in fact, I think it came out at one point. There was a whole committee based on trying to shut it down.
Yeah.
That followed the Nixon, the Watergate.
Thank goodness for Watergate, depending on where you were standing on it, because it did actually shine a light on this.
It did actually. It was wow. They said that they uncovered illegal surveillance, assassination plots, domestic spying, and MKUltra, all in that same investigation. And, they found out that millions and millions was spent by the CIA trying LSD produced, only to find out that they nothing worked. Nothing that this did allegedly had any real effect on CIA work. LSD produced unpredictable effect. Hypnosis had limits. People were difficult to reliably control, even when you had control of the mind. And there was no evidence to show that the CIA created dependable Manchurian candidate style agents, as it were.
But the goal was to have those things hopefully work. And let's get into before we even get into what they did and what they didn't do. Why? Why would the CIA want to be able to create a Manchurian candidate? Why would that be something that we would look into? Is it purely just because we want to stay on par with the Soviets or the whoever, Koreans, that were doing the same sort of research? Or is this something that we felt like, or I shouldn't say we, but the United States and the CIA felt like this would be an asset in terms of war?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I believe that they were responding to another nation's threat of this nature, or they just thought that it was, maybe they'd caught glimpses of it or heard rumors of it.
Mm-hmm.
But even that's enough to kind of, in some cases, I would imagine, spark, okay, we've got to create our very own program to counter this and be better at this.
But where do you draw the line on using civilians?
Yeah, that was a little strange.
Right? Like, we're not talking about using criminals. We're not talking about using willing patients that sign up for something like this. We're talking about people that had no idea that this was going on, and they were drugged, they were doped, they were duped, and they were researched.
Well, you know what's really weird is there are so many movies that are based on this since the 1970s that are based on this mind control. MKUltra is always the name of it. This mind control program is so ingrained in our minds that it's almost hard to believe that it doesn't exist, that it didn't exist, that there aren't unfettered Manchurian candidates out there, that maybe they haven't been used in the past.
But
seems a little unlikely almost.
It highly unlikely. My logical brain would say that that's probably unlikely.
Okay, so put on the tinfoil hat. Now, I've given you the official scope of what CIA says.
And that's what we officially know, and that's what if you look up online to all of the lovely search engines and things like that, and the Wikipedias and the chats and the Geminis, they'll all probably tell you that exact same thing.
I think I grokked this. No, what's the other one that I use?
Perplexity?
No,
they're not a sponsor.
I don't back Perplexity.
Okay.
Yet, hi Perplexity. Advertising inquiries too.
So okay. Now, MKUltra, we're not just doing the show because I convinced all you guys to do it. This has been in the news recently. Over the past month, we've been seeing the U.S. Senate talk to a gentleman named Tom O'Neill. What do you know about Tom O'Neill? Have you ever heard that name before? He's an author and a journalist.
Sounds like a pseudonym, CIA pseudonym, to be honest with you.
No, Tom's seems like he's a lovely human being and very well researched. So Tom O'Neill is an investigative journalist, best known for spending more than 20 years researching the Charles Manson case. His work culminated in his 2009 book, which, if anybody has not read it, please get Tom's book. It's amazing. Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. O'Neill did not conclude that MKUltra created Charles Manson, right? So let's just put that out there, and I'll keep saying that again. Instead, he argues that there's enough unanswered questions and suspicious overlaps to justify re-examining the official story. So, a lot of people have heard that there's been ties to... We'll throw out a few names. Ted Kaczynski, Charles Manson. We'll leave it there. Those two names have been brought up with MKUltra quite a bit. Anytime you see MKUltra, you see those two names.
I saw you. I know two other names that I've heard you say before. Okay.
I don't want to get into it. But we'll use those two names because they seem to be like the highest profile cases. So we don't know if Ted Kaczynski ever took part of this program. It seems to be that he did. They were doing research at Harvard. They were doing research at a bunch of different institutions, but Harvard seemed to be one of the places that they ended up getting a hold of.
By the way, Ted Kaczynski again?
The Unabomber. The man who went from being an assistant to a professor in Harvard with a great physics degree and a great mind behind him and an engineering brain, and he understood technology like pretty much no other person at that time. He was one of the high...